As we've been reporting, at least 18 people are known to have died when a condo collapsed in Surfside, Florida. More than 140 people are still unaccounted for. Later tonight, in a 30-minute special, we will share the stories of families, first responders, and others who are living through this tragedy. CBS News correspondent Manuel Bojorquez will be anchoring that special, and he joins me now. Manny, you have been on the scene of that condo collapse starting right after it happened. I'm going to play for our viewers, even before you and I start discussing it, your initial reaction.
What you're seeing behind me is the massive search and rescue effort that is underway here in Surfside, Florida, after a partial building collapse that happened around 2 this morning. That building is right there, at least the part of it that is still standing. Another section of that building is what collapsed.
I wonder, when you look back at that, how you were feeling in that moment, and over the past week, what more have you learned about what happened that night?
You know, really in that moment, we were trying to figure out what was happening. We had word that one person perhaps had died, and there was hope that maybe it won't be that bad, despite what we were looking at, because perhaps these were retirees that only live here in the winter and had gone home for the summer. But when it really hit me was interviewing the mayor of Surfside on CBS this morning, the look on his face, the fact that he said that the building was full of families. That's when we knew this would be a mass casualty event. The death toll now at 18, more than 140 missing. The search was suspended temporarily today because the remaining structure that is still standing is unstable. They have restarted it again tonight, but it just gives you an idea of the just absolute pain and heavy feeling that people are really dealing with right now as they root for these first responders to keep trying to find any possible survivors.
And Manny, you've spoken to several survivors. Can you tell us a bit about their stories, more about what we might hear in the next hour?
Yeah, you know, we are hearing a voicemail from a woman who called her brother when she heard something, and it kept recording. You could hear the sheer panic in her voice when she stepped outside and realized that the building was missing, that this wasn't an earthquake or a partial collapse. And there are also survivors who are right now dealing with the fact that they have lost their homes. Clearly, the loss of life is the greatest tragedy here, but you have to remember that that part of the building that is still standing, well, those people can't go in there. There's now talk of demolishing it for the safety of rescue crews. So there is the need for a long-term strategy for people like that. But of course, everybody has stressed right now that we'll figure those things out as we go, but the search for any possible survivors is always the priority.
And what about those family members of the victims who have been identified, who've been found, and those that remain missing? Tell us more about how they're coping with all of this. I mean, I think that part of the frustration, as you have heard, is the desire that more should be done, and also knowing that these first responders are giving their all to it, but just that deep well of despair, and what hope still remains.
Well, the Miami-Dade County mayor said it herself. If my loved one were in there, I would also think that rescuers weren't moving fast enough. But they have an Israeli team here that is world-renowned, and the families were able to ask that team, do you think that the local folks are moving fast enough and doing what they're supposed to be doing? And the answer they had was, yes, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing. So, of course, there is a lot of frustration that they haven't been able to move faster. But as you heard earlier, there's a concern about the structural integrity of the part of the building that is still standing, but also the debris pile. Digging through that, those rescuers still have debris falling on them as hard as they are trying to work. But every press conference that we have listened to, officials have said this is still a search and rescue mission. We still have the belief that if there is somebody alive down there, we need to be working to reach them. So imagine being the family member of someone who is missing. That's probably all you're going to hear, just because you're trying to keep the hopes alive that they could be found.
Yeah, we are all trying so hard to keep that hope alive. Manny, thank you.
Thank you.